The tall, gangly thing?
Time to cast game number 1. Bryce, are you ready? Game number 1 of the NA Regional Finals.
There's no chat, I promise you, happening for Kerem. He is just completely locked into this game in an okay opening position, only 98 HP because he lost his 2-2 fight, but certainly in an overall solid shape. He's got a nice kind of smattering of synergies here, playing really flexibly in the early game, carrying a Kled 1, which is definitely not good enough to beat a high damage board, so it looks like Setsuko, who is the only player in this lobby streaking, likely to continue his streak against Kermex. Just not enough damage from Kerem to be able to get through what Setsuko's offering with it, a very scary early, I think for Dawnbringer board, he's got 2 Nidalees on board, he's got the early Grog S2 with the Gargoyle Stoneplate and an early Karmadoa. He's got generically powerful item slam that can go into multiple different AD directions, including Kale. He's got the 4 Knights all upgraded online. He's not in a bad spot economically, a little bit lower than he normally is used to. That's because he rolled a little bit on 3-2. He's even got a Lucian on the bench, though. I mean, I agree that this Varus 2 is probably the better holder of these items, but there's very much potential for him to roll on 4-1 in transition, and already having your 4-cost carry potential is a really nice thing.
Yeah, level 8 starts to become much more of an important direction, especially when you consider having to put together all those Revenants, too. You want the Ivern 2, you want the Fiddle 2, and you're going to find them at level 8 a lot easier. But we're going to swap over and look at Musil's board. Musil having a little bit of a tough time right now, trying to go for that Velkoz carry with the Abomination. A very traditional build here, but only the Velkoz 1. Some nice upgrades coming through, though.
Yeah, some huge upgrades. The Rel 2 has the Velkoz. Upgrades the Velkoz. Upgrades multiple 4-costs.
Saving grace for a Musil. Like, suddenly, it's not a guaranteed 8th. You're maybe still playing for 6th a little bit here, but this board might be able to come back.
Yeah, this board is very capable of coming back. The thing about it is putting a high premium on scouting. We saw that Musil had to spend the entire round rolling down their goal, which makes a ton of sense right under the circumstances. Get stable, but now it is about understanding which opponents are in Musil's pool, and things are going to get a little dicey for him. By the way, Milk hit Nocturne 3. I'm really not sure how that happened. He only had 3 copies of Nocturne when we last saw him, and he did not have very much gold. So, you know what? That's just a player diff situation, Doa.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, he's just rolling like a boss today, apparently. Yeah, just finds the Nocturnes.
A bunch of gold here. He's going to be stuck at level 8 for the entire game, just trying to slowly but surely iterate, and he's going to get a chance to cheese that Zephyr again, which has the potential to swing a fight,
Some of those units that are not the most impactful if you 2-star them, and then use that to kind of move around for Zephyr cheese. You can see even move the Sejuani to the back line. It's a Cavalier. It's going to run up anyway.
Ooh, and he gets what he was looking for.
Yep, there it is. A Karma. This time he hits it on mismatched Sox' board anyway.
And Sox did the same thing in reverse. The Aphelios and the Karma spend the first 6 seconds of this fight not playing the game.
Yep, that's right. Aphelios manages to get a couple of shots off, though. It's all that Karma burst versus the Aphelios burst. Whoa, a 1-shot, more or less on the Karma.
Yeah, it is. It's such an important start to this tournament. It's only 6 games today, so every point you score really matters. Soju is rolling. He really wants to find another Sejuani. He would love to cheese the Zephyr because, again, with those positioning mattering so well, Musil hits a Velkoz 3, Doa. No one contesting the Velkoz. No one holding the Velkoz that we've seen, and that is an unbelievably scary board. He uses the Nico in order to cheese the Zephyr. That is such clean micro from Soju. He knows how important this next fight is, and he wants every advantage he can possibly get. Did he want to positioning his units in position to be able to dodge Sox the Zephyr, and can he get the Karma? He gets the Karma, and he can dodge the Zephyr as well. Such good micro from Soju in this fight.
No kidding. Like, I guess like a tournament Soju has emerged, right? Like, he's shaken off the stream shackles, and now he is in fine form. But will he be fine enough for him to win the lobby? He's in a good position to do it. Karma comes back down. The damage is starting to come through, but this last shot should finish it. Yep, and now Sox is out. The question is, where did the other 4 HP players end up at? Oh, Setsuko out as well, so Sox in 6. Kyun manages to snag a sneaky 4th.
He's also trying to cheese the Zephyr, but it's not that board. It is the Assassin board, and his Aphelios is on the same side as the Nocturne, so once the Nocturne takes care of these tanks, it will quickly turn around and make work of this Aphelios. Very, very tough spot for Soju. Yeah, with the Revenant buff and the Nocturne 3, it's just too much for Soju to be able to deal with, but it's not fatal. He's going to be able to live to fight another day. It looks like the Velkoz was positioned well for the Ascends board, but was it enough for Musil to live? It was not.
No.
The Velkoz 3 is out in 3rd place.
Earlier, the Aphelios, you know, you don't want to be on the same side as the Nocturne for obvious reasons. The Nocturne's going to walk up and kill you. He's got to do some last-minute swaps here. Is it going to work out? Put a lot of stuff behind the Aphelios to catch the Nocturne, too.
Yeah, a lot of tanks in the back line to stall this Nocturne, but I'll be honest with you, I just don't think this 4 Nightbringer board is strong enough to get through 2 lives of this Nocturne. The Aphelios is down, this is over. This is a very, very convincing lobby win from Delicious Milk, playing from behind.
It's only 1 game, but there's our numbers so far. We got a lot more games to play, though, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We have 5.
All right, thank you very much, Necro. Welcome, everybody, to Game 2 of the North American Regional Finals here of Teamfight Tactics Reckoning Dawn of Heroes.
Tactics it's exposing a lot of different types of things that you can be strong or weak with, and then putting them all to test at the same time. Like, that's really something that I've noticed about Robin being super strong, is that nothing really feels like it is an inherent weakness to him. Again, I think plenty of spots that can improve, but he's already pretty darn good. And so when he starts to improve those, it's going to be really scary for the rest of the field.
Yeah, well, speaking of scary, Robin is putting 2 losses together, but he went up against Grand Vice TFT tournaments in set 1 of TFT, the original launch set. Soju, a streamer in set 1 who's also been performing in tournaments, they've been around for a while. It's time for the new blood to also challenge them. We just watched Nubao. We talked a little about his ladder god status, who has been in a little bit trouble putting together tournament performances. Maybe this is his weekend. Burtosaurus is part of that as well. He looks at the Tome of Traits right now, looking at the ability to pick up Knights. Knights are very, very common. Even if he doesn't have Knights right now, it can scale very well into the late game. And one thing that Burt has said about his strength in particular is that he's able to both recognize what he needs to do this stage, as well as the big picture for the next stage and beyond. And you can see that immediate recognition for it. I think a lot of people wouldn't be picking up things that don't immediately benefit them trait-wise. Burt says, I need that Knight for later on.
Yeah, and it's not an immediate benefit right now, but it does open up options as well.
So right now we're at 3-2, we're at level 6. We're still utilizing things like Vayne Carry and Poppy 2, trying to be very cost efficient. Finds a Velkoz as an opportunity and as a chance to pivot out of
piece of the rest of the composition here for Imus Voidsins.
Right, and how appropriate would it be that Voidsins, who ended up transitioning into a Velkoz comp last game, ends up finding a way into it again, and we did see it in Lobby A as well. Velkoz is falling in popularity. Abomination has largely fallen off, especially with so many people building Giant Slayer. You sure as hell don't want to be building an Abomination Scion monstrosity that takes 70% amplification damage across the board from any carrier that's holding it. And so at this point, it's a very interesting wheel going on in TFT. Sometimes when people stop playing something, it becomes good again, because not many people are contesting it.
Look at this, up to 50 gold as well on 3-3 after finding this Velkoz. Like, what a major find that was.
Active as what Galio 2 would be, because ultimately you're just trying to stall for damage. Now, that being said, everything is lined up for a potential Velkoz wipe. There is no mana item onto Pokegam's Velkoz. Spencer's zooming in on this unkillable rail, just tanking infinite damage from the culling. We can't even see. We're zoomed so deep from Spencer's POV that I don't even know what's happening on the back line. But there's only one thing that I can assume is that Spencer is going to lose this fight because this rail is completely unkillable.
We have just received word that Spencer is now the official production for the, I mean, my gosh, it felt so dramatic when I was looking at this right now. But honestly, that's how the stone plate works. A Nikos.
Okay.
This could be a big deal here, Dan.
Absolutely. It kind of depends on whether or not he uses that Nikos to complete his carry or his front line, because right now I see 1-stars across the board. There's only a single 2-star that he wants to keep right now, which is Lux. Poppy is very much probably going to cycle out the moment he can find a more effective Knight like this Garen. But at the end of the day, you can have all the best synergies in the world. You can have your coolest champions, your favorite items. But if they're all 1-star units, you are asking to get punished real hard. That Karma 2 is definitely a reprieve here for Nubao, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. He's going to slam this Dragon's Claw and hope that he can keep Teemo alive just a little bit longer, but a delayed Thieves' Gloves means they can't collect value off that Locket of the Iron Solari. Here comes Disintegration Ray, interrupted, so it does give him a little bit of breathing room, but Pokegam still has more ammo.
Yeah, and this is looking like a really tough fight here. You know, the thing I'm worried about is how this Galio has gotten lined up with the Teemo here, so that this laser is going to just shoot right through. However, it wasn't enough damage to end the Teemo, and so the Teemo's got another shot here at this back line. Not able to wipe it out because of the Rel. That is a major difference, and Teemo barely not able to get this done. Place on that. So Robin Songs, he's not super fancy. It's just very solid, very strong positioning and item and compositions. Everything is just a very solid base, and it's really showing how important having that fundamental strength is in TFT.
Oh, great read to swap into Pokegam and avoid that corner to corner, dodges the Zephyr. Here comes the Ray from the Velkoz, completely missing. And now it's Lucian's turn with the culling, trying to go through the front line. Daisy does tank for a good portion of it. Now moves into the line of the disintegration ray, which is going to turn, but not in time. The positioning has paid off.
Strong setup. 4 Knights, 4 Ironclad. Against the rest of them, though, position is really the key. So for Ramkev here, every single one of these fights, close attention and close, deliberate positioning.
Yeah, it's all about buying time, whether you can challenge Burtosaurus. No one's going to die here at the end of stage 5. This is a fight purely to position yourself to put pressure on the rest of the lobby. That Viego is onto the Lucian, and maybe the extra damage from the Ruined Tempest from the Jack can help swing it. Not able to get it done. Viego nerf is very much in full effect, but the stall on the calling is good enough. Robin's going to take critical damage.
Not streak either. He's just playing really well the whole way through. So hopping over to Spencer's side right now, you know, again, kind of continuing to emphasize the positioning and the importance of it right here. You're noticing this Viego is getting exchanged simply for the Thieves' Gloves items, and honestly, this is such an unusual call, but it feels like it could make a major difference there. When you're able to exchange Thieves' Gloves for just better items, that feels like a great take.
I mean, that might be the play that ends up getting him a top 2. There's an Aphelios that's going to be slowed by the Frozen Heart jumping to the back. An excellent play. Not guaranteed, but Spencer played for that out anyways. At this point, I think he recognizes that he's fighting for top 2.
Getting converted.
And he's been able to turn that Garen with the Viego domination. Can he go for the Aphelios as well? He's seeing Ramkev going up against Burt, and that's a big loss for Burtosaurus. All of a sudden, I don't know who's going top 2 or beyond. Tied to the 3 skirmisher synergy, but that's not important. Rapid fire cannon, Zeke's Volibear. I haven't seen that one, but we'll see whether or not it has the high impact that he's looking for. Staggering the Volibears to hope that the Doombringers can chain back to back. CC everywhere on the battlefield. That KO2 trying to ascend, and if she can get to Super Saiyan 3, that 3rd ascension, it's going to be big damage if she can get the invulnerability up on the 15th attack. Trying to see if she can turn away and survive the culling. Big damage coming out from Spencer's Lucian, and that should be enough. I think Burst Comp is out of DPS. Protect the KO has failed, and Ramkev also gets the win. The lobby condenses further to find out who is going to be taking the proper podium finishes. You can use Akshan's heroic swing, of course, to assassinate carries, but also to use armor shred. And with that, the ability of getting that off consistently, that's going to be a struggle for Spencer. He's going up against Burtosaurus, has an opportunity to win right here, right now. His units are still on the outside wing, but it's all about whether or not he can protect the KO long enough from Burt's side to hold off against Jax that's trying to crush to the front line. The KO finally ascends again. Is this enough time that's stalled for long enough? Jax is still stuck on the front line. Galio unable to crack through, and I think this is enough for Burt to turn the fight. Deals just enough exact damage. That's a double kill. The People's Champ, I mean, the guy is so lovable. He took an 8th place. Very much following Burtosaurus. They're both tied.
Happy to, Necra. Thank you very much. Here we go on board with Delicious Milk, Bryce, as we get started with our 3rd game of the day.
The other man, myth, legend, Ramkev, my personal favorite. He is someone that can play so many different things. He gets an early misfortune pair with the Shojin Slammer. You see this man basically fall out of his chair laughing. I think he's happy, though. How about you? And it is an early game that most players are not very comfortable in because a lot of people are not playing a lot of Misfortune, Forgotten Lines. You know, it's just the Ramkev of it all is that he understands there are different outs. I saw him playing the reroll Misfortune Cavalier composition earlier today. Wound up not hitting the MF3 and getting outscaled in the lobby, but I know
theoretically top 4, but also kind of be happy with a 5th or a 6th to just get some sort of points to build off of in future games. We talked about Voidson's being kind of the dark horse of the tournament, and I think he's a very good player. And we'll see how he does.
This is a very breakable object going against a very movable object, though. These are 2 players that have lost every fight so far in this game. Someone has to win this fight, though, Doe, and it does seem like the Velkoz. The beam is not in a good spot, and GV8 does have a Ziggs 2 plus a brand, and that's a lot more damage than the Velkoz can deal with. It's so close. GV8 wins this fight, but loses this war. I promise you, I Miss Void Sins would rather lose by a unit there than win by a unit.
Worry about Goobums from a kind of historical perspective of his performance in these kind of situations. That said, he's looking pretty great in this game. Win streak, 96 HP. Brawler Abomination online. That's a lot of HP to get through. The Sunfire is going to be paying dividends because it's going to be around for a long, long time. Going up against Delicious Milk, it's a pretty strong Fiddlesticks there. But
yeah, Delicious
it'll be a
Milks,
grind.
it's all coming down to whether or not this Kled is going to take too much early aggro and how long it
Yeah.
can survive, because it's the entire source of damage for Delicious Milk, whereas that Sunfire plus this New plus the Fiddlesticks, there's a lot of different damage options.
Wow,
And
look
look
at
at this
Kled.
Kled wailing away, stacking up against his Rage Blade. It is going to be enough. Milk is going to snap Goobum's win streak.
Well, I mean, Heimerdinger 1 took a pretty decent nerf in the most recent patch, or recently at any rate. And so it's not as strong of a carry as it used to be on its own. You really kind of need the Heimerdinger 2, I feel like, at this point. And with 5 gold, there's not a lot of options to roll to try to find it.
The turret is down.
And yeah, that's right. So now the cast is only going to bring the turret back.
Again.
So you're kind of relying on Teemo here. But that said, I mean, the Abomination got to the back line, but that Lucian just kind of goes more or less untouched. And he had that rough start like we talked about. He recognized it. He made a very firm decision to go for the Velkoz early on when he found it, and he stuck to it. He just played around what was his strongest option extremely well and has survived this long. Might be able to grab a top 4. But
Yeah.
I just like the decisiveness out of Imus Voidsons.
Yeah, and he gets on the right side against Ramkev. Ramkev's turret down once again, so this Heimerdinger is going to take forever to cast. It finally gets a cast off, and it basically one-shots. Oh my god, the damage from the Heimerdinger. Heimer heard us talking smack about him, though, and it's very possible he could bot 4 from this spot.
I will stand by what I said. I think
he is no longer capable of bot 4ing.
I rest my case. I think Lucian 3 is probably enough to top 4 in this lobby.
Yeah, I would say so. Also throw the Thieves' Gloves onto the Rakan, and why not? Let's give him 2 tier items and a Shojin, really good Thieves' Gloves items.
Yeah.
Bertosaurus gets the pleasure of the first look at the Lucian 3 that will be killing basically everything in the lobby.
Lucky. All right, here we go. It's on the Galio, so it's actually the Galio's gonna block a lot of that.
Oh, it got
the rest
hooked.
comes through, but a Lucian 3, if he turns to the back line, just evaporates the Kale, and now it seems like that Lucian should be able to carry. The Galio will drop eventually. He's kind of the final boss of TFT right now.
He's going to be able to put the Titans and the Bramble Vest onto the Galio, another Bramble Vest onto the Volibear. He takes the time to generically swap. I really like that micro. He didn't scout, but he says, I assume other people are scouting for me, and there we go. You see the Diana, although it winds up dashing all the way through to the back line. It interrupts the first Lucian cast, so Lucian is kind of in the thick of it and is taking a lot of CC from all these Revenant units. It's finally getting a cast off, but it's going to die here. Goobums is able to take down the Grim Reaper, Toa. Goobums says, I am not afraid of this Lucian 3. I can stand toe-to-toe with this board and get the win. The Diana CC, the Ivern CC, it is enough for Goobums to take out a seemingly unconquerable board. Ramkev and Bertosaurus are on the wrong end of these fights. Out in the bottom 4, our top 4 is secured.
Just to avoid some of that early Akshan damage. We'll see.
Yeah, and the Diana, get it away from the rest of your clump, right? So that the Diana is not able to kind of put it into the heart of the team.
Doesn't do it.
He put an extra unit over on the left side, maybe hoping the Diana's going to dash there, but I just don't see it happening. The Diana gets all the way through to the back line. This Lucian is going to it looks like it might be safe from the Diana cast, though. It's just out of the range. The Lucian is safe and will freely DPS. This is a totally different fight than the last time. This Lucian 3 is now wailing away on the tanks. This Akshan damage is just not going to be enough, and there it is.
Wow.
Setsuko, you said he was guaranteed top 4, and there is a guaranteed top 1. And look how close it is at the bottom. You've got 4 players at 15, 1 at 14, 1 13, 2 12. So
thank you very much, Necro. Welcome everybody to game number 4 of the North American Regionals here at Teamfight Tactics Reckoning Dawn of Heroes. We did end up leveling and playing the Draconic anyways, so you can see some of the decisions that he's choosing to trade off here, and I'm particularly intrigued to see if this line's going to pay off.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened these last couple lines. You know, I want to visit the Nikos point that you just made real quick, because really there's one kind of answer to this, which is number one, when does the Nikos help? Well, actually help the most. That's it. When does it help the most? And sometimes it helping the most can literally be 2-starring your unit that's carrying all your items.
Right.
For Soju here, I do like the Draconic idea because you're trading off a ton of power in order to get extra gold in this spot. A lower life total. It very much has valued the early econ and what it provides to you over the early health total. And so for this spot right here, you know, there's a lot of strong units that have been rolled, but how are the strong units actually tying together is really where my thought is. And frankly, none of it is. So right now, it's still a 1-star Nocturne. It's got a Last Whisper, which is great. But the rest of your board is looking a little bit insignificant. Nice to find the Ivern here, though.
I don't know what to really make out of the sequence that we just saw. This was an uncharacteristically slow and quite sloppy play from Kiyun. And the only reason why I feel I can say that is because I know what peak Kiyun looks like, and it didn't look like that. He froze on a relatively pedestrian decision on making a Soraka 2, which you want to play as a stable backline for your composition at this point. And then I find
wow.
If he gets a 5 bomb here, I think it's a case where he plays 5 Abomination. Oh, he doesn't get it. Wait, what are these choices? Nightbringer emblem, Assassin emblem?
So I feel like Cavalier is a real one here.
Okay, yeah.
I think Cavalier actually feels kind of strong to me for a number of reasons, mostly because I can see that this brawler kind of staying in play. However, if you take the Cavalier spat right now, it does at some point become useless, given what you want to go through with this. Takes the Assassin one.
Oh, he's going to give it to Fiddlesticks? Wait,
whoa.
Assassin Callisto, what is
happening?
Watching? Is this a PvE game with Mortdog on the weekend?
I mean, this is like, I talked a lot about Pokegom and creativity. This is not necessarily what I was referring to, but it does kind of come to light here. This is an Assassin A-bomb that's coming out of the corner with a Bramble now, and the Callista is just shredding the board. And I just missed out and realized it. Finds a Velkoz 2 to go along with it. So that's bye-bye Varus up to level 8. And I imagine Soju's going to start spending some gold here because one single Kale being found could completely change the game right now. There's a little bit of stuff that's being found. A lot of Lulus in a spot like this. That's going to show up for the Mystic buff, but that's going to be the stopping point right there. Right now, it's equip the Kale and hope that you can win some rounds here. Soju, I think, is just in a fantastic position, though.
Absolutely. And, of course, you can see the building blocks from the transition as well, right? He's keeping Knights. He thought about Volibear in case Revenant showed up. It's all situational, but he is going up against Nubao, who has his streak snapped. He's still playing an Italy 2 carry, which looks like to be holding items for the Lucian if he can ever find one. Part of the problem of taking it very slow and trying to level up and be greedy is that sometimes all the Lucians are out. It's tough to stabilize.
It's very difficult, and not only that, but there's so many different transitions that you could take in a spot like this, and it looks like that Nubao might be heading towards the Revenant position for a couple of reasons. The big one to me looking to be that it just is not really in a position to do Knights just yet. And so you'll notice that Leona getting sold tells me Knights are completely out of his mind. And this was the other reason why this was out of his mind, is because if he finds Lucian 2, that's going to be the direction you go from this spot. So I think that the patience here from Nubao and showing that the cost he paid to hold on to this entire bench was not because he didn't know what he was doing. It's because there were so many different viable lines. Found the Lucian 2. Let's go with that.
A very nice pivot back in, going up against Kuramex, and could put the dagger in the North American hero.
Oh,
and the
boy.
Lucian is going to target the Aphelios in the top right corner with the culling. The Moonfall just came a beat too late, and it looks like Kuram is destined for a bottom finish. We'll see how bad the damage is. So many need to survive. But and I want to just use this as an opportunity to highlight Nubao, what we just saw. Nubao was not playing the 6 Sentinel comp. He was playing a mismatch of Nightbringer Kaz with Sedge and Lee Sin, playing some skirmishers. And it just shows you that there's multiple ways to be able to get to your win condition. From Mishmash Sox's perspective, he's just playing the straight-up 6 Sentinel comp. It's very powerful, going up against this Velkoz, able to eliminate it. Kale's ascending, but she doesn't have the defensive tankiness that she would like. And you can start to see that the Lucian just barely hanging on by a thread. The Sentinel Steel kicking in clutch.
Notice the positioning here for Mismatch Sox, too. These are very deliberate approaches he's taking, but he gets matched back-to-back because of the player elimination. It's going to change the way that some of that can pan out. And this could be really bad because that Velkoz is in the opposite corner now, Dan.
Whoa, but Lucian's culling is threading the needle, able to take out that 1-star, I believe, Rel from Soju. And it's not enough for the front line to hold on. And now Lucian's able to try to start target the back line. The Kale has no Guardian Angel. Back-to-back wins for the Mismatch Sox.
You're going up on the Ironclad spot. And so right now you have a Knight in play that's not really doing anything except for the fact that it's providing you just something big. Having 4 Knights in play, it's a lot harder for a Lucian to chew through this board.
Very much so. Nubao is not necessarily positioned for this. It looks like Nubao is taking a generic spot, trying to use his Lucian in the back, trying to cut through the front line. But with the 4 Knights edition, this is where Lucian particularly falls off. I don't think this is going to be a fight that the Lucian can be able to turn. The Kale barely survives thanks to the redeem stacks. He's evaluating damage. You highlighted before, checking how much damage is coming from what source. Soju says this is good enough for now. Going to reposition once more to see if he can get that Velkoz advantage.
Yeah, Spell, Weaver Spat. It's going on to Leona to improve that damage reduction that's taking place. place. And frankly, when I see this spot here, I do not feel like that Nubao is going to be able to win this fight given what's happened. Again, there's no improvement from the carousel. The Kayle is super protected right now. That Lucian is dealing a number of damage. The Kale's getting hooked, but it's still not enough to kill it. The Leona is still alive. Nubao getting knocked out here. I think you're right, Dan. This could be a double kill.
And there it is. Soju takes game 4, Lobby B on top.
Whew.
And that's that. We're actually going to pivot across here. That's right, bonus coverage for game number 4 as we head over to Lobby A and see Spencer right now, who is very much prime position to at least lock up top 2, playing a Dawnbringer Karma Revenant build. Looks very capped. Garen 2, Karma 2, with Heimerdinger at 2 stars. Well, going up against an Akshan 2. This is crazy to just walk in halfway through the fight and try to download what's going on. But the big thing is that it seems like Akshan 2 has to take down all these big legendary units that Heroic Swing able to snipe the Karma. Can this Akshan actually do it?
I mean, look at the way he's just jumping around the board. He's got the Radiant Titans, and so that gives you so much armor in MR that if you have a Bloodthirster with that plus a Rage Blade, that unit scales up to effectively be invincible from his assessment. And so a lot of things are changing around. Gwen gets sold, but 2 Volibears get added as well. Is this going to be our second 3 Volibear team? Holy smokes, that's a way to stop Akshan.
That's right, and Goldilocks has the blue buff and the Revenant spat against the 3 bears. Let's see if this is enough from Setsuko. Here comes the Heroic Swing, the double, the triple Doombringer to stall Akshan indefinitely. And I think Spencer has done it. He found the tech. Game 4 Lobby A taken by Spencer.
That is just...
Taking a look at things now, it's still a pretty close race.
Yeah, there's even a tie for 8th place right now between Kuramex and Mismatched Socks.
It's time to get into the final game for us here on the day. Still one more game remaining. This is game 5 out of 6, of course. But we're gonna...
Lucian is a good place for damage to come from, even without items, Doa. This unit absolutely slaps in Stage 2 and Stage 3. Such a big hit for Kurum to potentially be able to protect his win streak.
Yeah, when you start getting access to those 4 costs around this time in the game, just a Lucian 1 with no items is still a pretty significant threat. And, you know, where he kind of was a little bit, unsure about the direction as far as the damage coming out of his comp. He didn't have Abomination online. The Callisto wasn't too inspiring. Makes a lot of sense to throw this Lucian in. It's at least going to kill a couple extra units and might just help him keep the win streak going.
Oh, it's going to kill more than a couple extra units. I mean, this unit is just so strong in the early game. I think Kyun would have had a puncher's chance in this fight without the Lucian, but he's thinking about how to use this tome, and I really like the fact that he's thinking about it. When you sell the tome, you get 2 random traits, and you get 2 traits on your board. And so what Kyun is trying to figure out is whether or not he needs to save that tome to use it later in the game when he likes the traits more, or to use it now. He uses it now, and he's rewarded the Knight Spatula as one of the best spatulas because 4 Knights is so strong he's going to get access to it even earlier.
Yeah. I think that's kind of just the generically best way to go because, you know, even if you don't run a 4 Knight composition, a lot of times you'll have a Galio in it, so being able to add a Knight Spatula at least guarantees you that little bit of damage reduction late game. That said, he's still looking like he's got a pretty strong board here, but yeah, at some point that Varus is going to need to go.
Yeah, he's got this Aphelios early as well, so he's really torn between 2 different directions. Obviously, if he hits a bow and has a Rage Blade, he's got essentially the best in slot Aphelios.
Give himself kind of like a broader damage increase across multiple champions.
Wow, and Setsuko got the Radiant IE. This Draven is going to hit like a truck. These items are insane, especially for this stage in the game. The Nidalee is going to keep dodging. It's 4 dodges in a row. Okay, it finally doesn't dodge, and it's back to its dodging ways. No way. Nidalee. Does Nidalee win these? Okay.
Close.
Wow,
close.
I think she just needed like 1 more dodge to actually pull that off. That was some pretty insane RNG for the Nidalee.
There was a terrifying moment where he was grabbing items, and he grabbed the chain vest first. I'm like, no, don't do it. Luckily, Socks not accidentally slamming that chain vest. But this solution is going to be extremely strong. If you can 2-star it quickly, that'll be the ticket to the top 4 for sure. This Galio,
sweats that Zephyr so clean, and it's the Radiant Zephyr too, so this Lucian is up in the air for a full 10 seconds, Doa.
Galio, take the wheel. He's just got to hold on till Lucian comes back down. Now the Poppy going to be blocking a little bit of this damage, but look at that Galio. That Galio is still at 60%, now back up to full HP again, and that's it. Like, Galio just holds on, waits for Lucian to come back down. He's like, no problem. I'll wait. You know, burst of damage fairly early in the fight, and so that can theoretically cleave through some boards that would be difficult for him to go into a long round against. So we'll see if that works out. Meanwhile, it's Kermex versus Ramkev here.
No.
Oh, it does look a little bit grim.
Ramkev is on the completely wrong side. Thankfully, his tanks are going to deal with it, so the Lucian isn't going to get immediate aggro onto the Velkoz, but the Velkoz gets no damage onto the Lucian. The Lucian sends a second ultimate away from this Velkoz. Can the Velkoz turn and deal with it? Oh, the Lucian is so smart. It dashes out, but then it casts fully on not the Velkoz. But the Viego is there to clean up the day and swap the Velkoz, and he's on the wrong side again. Some rare micro mistakes from Ramkev. He's not scouting as thoroughly as I'm used to seeing him, and he's on the wrong side consistently here. Can he win this fight? Setsuko's board's a little bit weaker, but it's pretty good into the Redeem board overall because this last Whisper is going to cut through the tankiness and the IE is going to do so much damage. He needs a Velkoz laser beam to wind up onto the Draven, and Syndra has him covered, but he's not dead yet. Just not enough left in the cast. Can Draven cut through the front line long enough, or is the Velkoz going to cast again and secure this fight win? Wrong side, right board.
Less than 10 HP, Pakigam, Spencer, and Setsuko. All on the bubble right now.
The Velkoz 3!
And that is the Velkoz 3 for Ramkev. Now, we've seen today that doesn't mean an auto win, but yet again, a Velkoz 3 pops up.
Generically speaking, because the only way it feels like that he would really lose this fight is if Viego gets onto the Velkoz. So the last second swap, the Velkoz is on the wrong side against the Lucian, and the Volibears in great positioning. So I think Kurum got everything he wanted in this fight, but is it enough against the Velkoz 3?
It is a Velkoz 3. It is a ton of damage. Still a few damage dealers left, though, for Kuramexo. Oh, and that Velkoz getting targeted by the Lucian, too. Oh, he nearly killed it. They both killed each other in the end, actually. But now that Fiddlesticks is a scary one. Viego trying to recruit more to his side. He recruits Daisy, actually. But Fiddlesticks is right behind you.
Oh, it casted!
Viego turns. Yeah, but the cast doesn't get off completely, and that is going to be a win against Kuramex. All right, maybe, all right, a little bit of a fake there as he dropped the Velkoz on the other side and then moved it back. What's it going to be, though? Moving things a little bit farther back in general. All right. The Viego's
going to steal Kale right away again, although there is a trap claw to block it.
That's right.
Volibear misses Velkoz, so the Velkoz is going to free hit its first full ultimate. The KO has been converted. The Lucian is attacking onto the Velkoz, and it's going to be enough this time. He is dead, and there is no additional damage source left alive for Velkoz. So
the Gwen 2 just found by Kuramex. That's a little bit scary. Last-minute swaps here. Decides to go left. Tries to position the Rel in a way that's going to slow down some of the important attacks here. But again, the Viego jumping right on the back line.
Yeah, really, really good positioning from Kurum in every way except for the Volibear. The Volibear is going to jump away from this fight, and this Velkoz is going to ult across the map. This looks like a very, very clean fight for Ramkev.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if he can get onto that Lucian, he does. That is it. And Ramkev is going to win this lobby.
But it's now really close, right? If you're Milk and Soju at 29 points, there is very much a world in which you could bottom out of this tournament if things go really, really badly for you in the last lobby.
Thank you very much. This is the final game of day one here at the North American Regional Finals of Teamfight. Taking some inventory of health totals, Milk did get the win, what looks like to be over Nubel, although we don't know the exact matchup. GV8 is also streaking on the other side of things. Robin Songs at a very low 56 health, completely open forting at that point. Middle of the stage, he might be out of this tournament.
I will say that the only other possible thing I could think of is if your intent is to 3-5 spike here.
You're right.
But this doesn't feel like a Robin Songs kind of play to me. However, you can tell that they're considering it, and honestly, the less rolling that's going on here, the more I was thinking about it. But I think that Robin Songs was going, hey, look.
I mean, that was huge. He just hit 2 2-star units to help stabilize, and he has Abomination. I mean, this is a great 3-2 roll down. Robin didn't have to commit much gold, and he should be stable. Stable doesn't mean that you have to win. It just means you have to stop taking 8 to 12 damage per round, and that should do it. If anything, this looks good enough to beat Soju, who has rolled it all the way down, and Soju is not able to start the win streak. That's a terrible sign for Cloud9's K3 Soju, who also means that GV is going to have limited offensive capability. In his mind, he's going to have to make a very good offensive item off the carousel, and the Radiant Army is going to have to provide big damage boost to GVA. Otherwise, he's just going to fall off a cliff and have to rely purely on synergies. And we're not in that meta anymore. The power is not really in the synergy trait in terms of offense. It's purely in defense at this point, unless you're able to get something really crazy like Spellweavers going on. And so GVA is going to have to really hope that while his board is great right now, he's getting
to find that big Radiant item and then really make a difference from that. You know, Robin Song, Soju sitting at 44 and 48. We still haven't seen that change happening. And GV8 here, this is very much the Korean leveling that's taking place here.
Bar, 4 Legionnaires gives him a little bit more attack speed, a little bit more heal. Going up against Bird of Swords, there's a Riven too. Again, a little throwback of what can make these comps pretty powerful. It's been a while since we've seen Riven carry be a thing. I don't anticipate it to be something that Bert stays on, given that Riven is just a great item holder at the moment. But there is that possibility that just utilizing this Riven 2 to carry you for Stage 3 and Stage 4, and if you fall into it, you might find more Rivens. Look at this damage to 2 Legionnaires. The lifesteal, not enough for Riven to make it in the ramp-up time. By the time Jax gets to the 5-0 attack speed, Draven's already killed almost every unit except for the Jax. And so we'll see whether or not Voidsins can utilize this Draven tempo play to get ahead of everybody else, and it looks like it's going well so far. Nubal does have the 2-star Lucian, has very good items for that Lucian with the Giant Slayer and the Guardian, the Jewel Gauntlet, does end up missing the Draven, so it's the spinning axes versus the culling down to just the carries. Daisy comes in for the shockwave, Lucian able to finish it off.
Very healthy finish in top 4.
Yeah, and Robin's so happy to have dodged Soju already. I mean, he's played him, so he's not in his matchmaking pool, and it's going up against Voidsins, the Draven versus the Velkoz. Draven's still trying to work onto that front line. Daisy stalling for as long as possible for the second cast of the Disintegration Ray, and here comes the monstrosity to stall for Draven. Velkoz didn't target it at all whatsoever. This might be the window that Draven needs. If he can 2-tap the Velkoz, that'll mean everything. Not able to get it. Looks very strong in this lobby. And Nubal is just mission critical to protect this Lucian. A small rearrangement at the very last second up against a potential Velkoz. And here's the Akshan 2 board from Bert.
The Akshan 2 is scary. Let me tell you what. That Nunu is very scary as well. But it really boils down to how this Akshan is going to crank damage here. So it runs into the Senna first. Not a huge deal. It's the Jax next. The Lucian gets repositioned, but honestly, perhaps in a favorable angle at this point. The Lucian does not have a way to sustain at the moment, though, so enough damage ends up taking it out. The Nunu not able to hold it up. At almost every point in the game, there's been 2 win streakers taking place.
A big sell coming out from I'm His Voidsins with Draven. It's time to transition his Lucian 2 as well. We've seen what Lucian can do with a Giant Slayer and a Jewel Gauntlet. A good offense sometimes makes up for that lack of defense, even if you don't have the sustain. Nubal with a little bit of the jukes, moving back and forth, positioned correctly, at least in a generic way, having the Lucian and the Rel on opposite corners. And it is Voidsins, and it's the Lucian duel item-wise. I like what Nubal has over Voidsins, but we'll see whether or not the fight ends up panning out that way.
Yeah, it's certainly the resistance. I'm sorry, the sustain that's available on Voidsins' side ends up taking the place in the carry here on this spot. I think Nubal's position was fantastic for this fight, but the position is only so much. I think that's one of the reasons that so much of this board got trimmed away was because of Nubal's position. But I think that you have to give the benefit over to the Hand of Justice.
At the end of Stage 5, no one has died in this top 6. Instead, the health totals somehow have collapsed to be even closer, Admiral.
It's so close at this point, and everything is, again, being driven down to like a specific lobby or specific opponent that you're going to be facing. They understand what's happening. They manage their resources well, and then just that little twinge of help from the Mort gods that come out and try to give you the right units. All of those things matter. You have to be able to capitalize on these opportunities. For Soju right now, this is the hardest opponent that's in the lobby right now, and almost everyone is in one-shot range.
Oh, he's saving the Frozen Heart to kind of time it based around Akshan. Puts it immediately on the Leona to try to time it and slow down his attacks before his second cast. He needs his KO to ascend, but the Pike is doing a really good job actually adding a lot of damage just naturally through the auto attacks. The culling, the heroic swing, the stun, it's too much. Soju is out with the KO2 in top 4. Robin Song's able to barely hold on by HP differential with and even find ways to keep his Lucian safe from the Akshan, who's done such a great job scaling into the fight and making it difficult as a battle of attrition here as Milk trying to prepare every single possible way to get that edge. He moves the Akshan to the corner. He's ready. Voidsins plays, I think, his Lucian into his opposite Lucian. But Milk isn't targeting that, he's targeting the Galio. That's an excellent choice. No front line to stall, no shield of Durand. A heroic swing comes to the back here to try to eliminate some of these units, but Voidsons did account for that by putting all his Aurelia to tank the damage of the ADDR. Lucian with the culling trying to take out the back units as well. Pyke with the big stun. And I don't think this is enough damage coming out from Voidsons. If the Lucian goes down, that is it. Jack's trying to make up for lost time. And I think Delicious Milk is on the verge of being able to clutch out his day 1 performance with the first place. He is going to day 2. Delicious Milk, welcome to Championship Sunday.
Okay, so everybody, like, this is such a close race. Kyun, Goobums, Bertosaurus, they might be towards the bottom of the pack, but they all finished with 25 points, showing you how important that first and second place really was. But as you work your way up to see the top 8 moving on to day number 2 of the NA Regional Finals, Robin Songs able to squeak in. That third place was enough to secure a top 8.